All right, let's dive right into the very first chapter of the book of Isaiah. And let me tell you, this is a powerhouse of a book. It doesn't ease you in with a gentle promise. Nope. It kicks off with a dramatic, divine accusation. Let's break down this incredibly powerful opening.
So to really get what's happening here, you've got to imagine a massive cosmic courtroom. That's the scene Isaiah is painting for us in these opening verses. This isn't just another prophecy. It's what you could call a divine indictment, a powerful courtroom drama where an entire nation finds itself on trial, with God himself as the judge.
So, Act 1, the court is convened. And just like any good courtroom drama, the first thing you have to do is set the scene. You know, we need to establish who the key players are, when this is all happening, and who exactly is the subject of this divine case.
Verse 1 introduces us to our main figure, Isaiah, the son of Amoz. But I want you to pay close attention to that very first word, vision. That's a huge clue. It tells us that what we're about to hear isn't just a single dream or some fleeting thought. Oh no, it's something much, much bigger.
Turns out, this vision is actually the entire 66-chapter book of Isaiah. It's this grand, sweeping insight into Isaiah's world and the future. You know, it reminds me of what the prophet Amos wrote, that the Lord God does nothing without revealing his secret to his servants, the prophets. Well, Isaiah is that servant, and this incredible book is that secret being revealed.
And this vision isn't just happening in some mythical, far-off land. It is anchored in a very real, very specific period of history. It spans the reigns of 4 different kings of Judah: Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. And let me tell you, this was a time of immense political and spiritual chaos, the absolute perfect backdrop for the drama that's about to unfold.
Okay, so the court is convened, the scene is set. Now it's time for the prosecution to speak. And in this case, the prosecutor is God himself, speaking through Isaiah. And the charges he is about to lay out are absolutely devastating.
Just listen to the scale of this. In verse 2, Isaiah doesn't just call a few people to the stand. He calls on the entire universe, the heavens and the earth, to act as the jury. And God's opening statement? It is just heartbreaking. It's the raw cry of a parent. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. He's talking about Israel, the nation he cared for, only to have them completely turn their backs on.
The depth of their rebellion really gets driven home in verse 3 with this incredible comparison. Isaiah basically says, look, even an ox knows its owner, and a donkey knows where it gets its food. He's saying these animals have more sense than the people of Israel, who failed to even recognize the very God who provides everything for them. I mean, what a stunning rebuke.
Then verse 4 just unloads the charges, like a prosecutor reading from a rap sheet. He calls them a sinful nation, a people loaded down with iniquity. That means they're just full of injustice. A seed of evildoers, children who are corrupters. It's one thing after another. They haven't just stumbled. They have actively forsaken the Lord and gone away backward. They're not just stuck. They are in full reverse.
All right, so the charges are on the table. What about the evidence? Well, the evidence isn't a stack of documents or a key witness. The evidence is the state of the nation itself, and Isaiah describes it through this powerful and, honestly, pretty graphic metaphor of a diseased body. The metaphor kicks off in verse 5. The whole head is sick. This is a direct shot at the corrupt political and religious leaders. And the whole heart faint. That points to the people themselves, demoralized, wicked, and just spiritually weak. The sickness starts right at the top and infects everyone.
Then in verse 6, oh man, the image gets even more intense. The sickness covers the entire body, from head to toe. And these aren't just little scrapes. These are wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. And what do they represent? Unrepented sins. You know, we can't always see our own spiritual state, but God can. And what he sees is a body just covered in untreated, infected wounds.
And here's the crucial point, something we have to get. In the world of the prophets, this kind of deep spiritual sickness never ever stays internal. It always manifests in the real world. Their spiritual decay leads directly to physical, tangible devastation for the whole nation.
And that's exactly what we see in verse 7. The metaphor becomes reality. The untreated spiritual sickness has resulted in a physically devastated nation. Isaiah gives the tangible proof. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. This wasn't just an abstract idea. The land of Judah had been ravaged by invasions. The consequences of the rebellion were all around them.
So,
After a case that damning, you'd expect a swift, final verdict, right? Guilty. But this is where the courtroom drama takes a totally unexpected turn. Instead of a final sentence, we get a surprising glimmer of hope, a testament to divine mercy.
Now, to understand this turn, we first need to know who the daughter of Zion is. This is a poetic, beautiful name for the city of Jerusalem, which was the capital, the very heart of the nation. So the focus suddenly narrows from the entire country down to this single crucial city.
This imagery in verse 8 is so vivid. Imagine a massive vineyard right after the harvest, and all that's left is one tiny, temporary shelter standing all alone. That was Jerusalem. After the mighty Assyrian army had swept through the whole region, conquering city after city, Jerusalem was the only major fortress left, isolated and surrounded, a besieged city. I mean, things looked absolutely hopeless. The unstoppable Assyrian army was right at the gates. But then, something miraculous happened. We read in 2 Kings chapter 19 that in a single night the angel of the Lord struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. It was a dramatic, impossible, divine intervention that saved the city from certain destruction.
And this brings us to the final, powerful thought of this whole opening act. The only reason Jerusalem wasn't completely wiped off the map, just like the infamous cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, was because God chose to preserve a very small remnant, a small surviving group. Despite all their rebellion, he didn't abandon them completely. And this leaves us with a crucial question that's going to drive the rest of the book. Why? What is the purpose of this remnant?